Good morning, YouTube. Well, I usually don't do this sort of thing, but why not? Since it is going to become the Embrato Smithing and Woodcraft channel. I've been having a problem as of late with one of my EDC packs. I keep my ferrule rod down in this pocket, but I've been having a problem with it falling out. We're going to remedy that. I've added a short piece of bungee so that, and I say it is short, but yet it's bungee, so when I stretch it, it'll go over. And I've got the strap here from the pack. Now I'm not going to put this down on this end because that's where we adjust the strap. We're going to put it over here. I've cut me a little piece of webbing from another pack that was no good, so I took the straps off of it and saved them. Boy, have I got a bunch of it. That's just what I've got handy here in the truck. I got a lot more of it at the house. So I cut me a short piece. I'm going to stitch it right on there, so my ferrule rod will go through there and bungee on to stay in place. Remember I showed you my sewing kit. I'm always capable. We'll get back to you when I'm a little further along and show you how we're making out. Peace out. Well, here's a little something I just thought I should share. This morning I was driving my school bus, and one of my passengers stands up and opens up a window, starts hollering out at the window. Now, mind you, I was only doing about 5 miles an hour. Was just approaching a stop sign, so it wasn't a big deal. He stands up and starts hollering out the window at this girl, hollering, "Destiny, Destiny!" As we go by, I says to the boy, now mind you, this is one of those wisecrackers. He's always trash talking everybody. I says to him, I said, "Boy, her name might be Destiny, but she ain't yours. Your Destiny." All the other guys around him are like, ooh. They knew he'd been dissed. Then I says to him, I says, "And she's not singing Say My Name, Say My Name." They all cracked up at that one. They thought Mr. Bus Driver, being an old man, would have no idea about Say My Name, Say My Name. I think they learned something. What do you think? Just thought I'd share that. It was kind of cute, so. Okay, welcome back. Just a brief overview here. What I've got my patch pinned on. Here, let's give you a little contrast here so you can see it. There you see. Now, that's not the way my ferrule rod's going to be, but patch is, the piece is pinned in place. And my rod will go through here like this, and then the bungee will come over like that to hold it in place. That's how it's set up. I've got my needle and thread attached. Now all I got to do is sew it in place. And this is going to be some fun because I left me a long tail of thread. Okay, whatever. I didn't want to have to re-thread the needle after I did one side, so. And this stuff is not fun to sew by hand. Just a minute. What fell down? Oh, we got lots of stuff falling down. See this? I found where somebody threw away a soft cast, and I salvaged the Velcro and the hook and loop tape off of it. Several pieces of it. Yeah. Okay, where was I? Oh, yes. Okay. Now, this is just going to be a simple whip stitch. This is where I'm going to have a real problem. So, let me get back to you in a couple minutes. Okay. Here's what I've done. I rolled up that tag end so it'll be up out of my way, so my stitch won't keep getting tangled up with it. Now then, as I say, now that's my first stitch in. And from here on we're going to do a specialized whip stitch. I know there's a name for it, I don't know just what it's called. But you bring your tag end up around the needle and then pull your bottom line right up through. It makes an individual knot right there. I just call it my stitch in time stitch. I know it has a proper name, I don't know what it is. I'm not that much of a, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Soup maker, whatever. There's a name for them, but again, you go up through the material real close to the last stitch. You bring the thread from the last stitch up and around the needle a couple times, and then pull the rest of the string through, and it creates a knot right there at the edge. Now, it is basically a glorified whip stitch, and that's going to make this a very strong stitch using just common thread. So I'll get back to you when I'm a little further along with it. Peace. Okay, fellas, another point I wanted to share with you all here. A lot of people like Raz and guys like me, because we'll pick up a needle and thread and sew our own clothes. And there are a lot of guys out there that won't pick up a needle and thread for the very same reason. Well, let me try and suss out this idea for you a little bit. Some of the best paid, most sought after seamsters in this world are men. They make some of the most expensive suits in the world and are paid handsomely for doing so. Clothiers have been typically men for millennia. And I don't think any of you want to try and go and tell Rosie Greer he's not a man because he picks up a needle and thread. Rosie Greer is well known, at least in circles I travel in, for darning his own socks. And for those of you from Rio Linda that don't know who Rosie Greer is, I'm not a sports fan and I know who he was. He was a famous football player back in the 70s. Look him up. And he repaired his own socks. Sitting right there on the bench waiting to go into action on the gridiron. He'd be sitting there with a darning ball and a pair of socks, darning his socks for when his feet got cold. So, for those of you who are afraid to pick up a needle and thread because people would pick on you, and for those of you who are being picked on, remember, he who has the most tools in his toolbox wins. People like us, who can sew a sock, who can stitch a strap, who can use a forge and a anvil and a hammer and make a knife, can build a campfire with nothing but a couple of twigs to rub together. There's a name for people like us. A lot of people where I work, they think they're teasing me by calling me by that name. I consider it a badge of honor. The term is Renaissance man. You know, funny, they used to call a very wise man that once. He was the first man to ever design a helicopter. He's a famous artist and sculptor. Does the name ring a bell? Da Vinci? Now, you don't have to be a prepper or you don't have to be a survivalist to be a Renaissance man. But you must have a wide and varied set of skills. sewing for yourself is one of them. Think about it. Don't call a guy sissy just because he sews. Okay, let's show you what we've got so far here. Let's take these straight pins out. And just like so, ferrule rod fits in. And voila, that ain't going anywhere. That'll stay on that pack as long as I want it to. And it's not going to tear off. Now mind you, those stitches aren't going to hold a 25-pound steel weight, but they'll keep that thing right there forever. That's what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, self-sufficiency. Peace out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was sitting here and thinking about this, and this gets wet a lot. This strap that I'm putting my ferrule rod on. It gets wet a lot, and that thread that I used is not nylon, it's cotton, which means it's going to rot out. And then I remembered in my sewing kit, I had this. It's nothing more than brass floral wire, lightweight floral wire, meaning it coils and it bends very easily. And I says, hey, here's an idea. I'm going to throw a little of that on a needle and stitch just at the top corners. And that's going to make that so it'll never break. Brass doesn't rust. And it's a few stitches at the top corners. It'll never tear out. Even if the cotton thread rots out, this never will. So, that's what I'm doing right now. It's my last, well, next to last stitch here at this top corner. And I'm going to tell you, this is hard stuff to sew with. It's harder than any thread you've ever tried to sew with. And now, one down through this way. Come on. And there. Now all I got to do is nip it off. There. Now that's a job anyone would be happy to have. Ferrule rod goes in. It's not broken in yet. And the string goes down around. There we go. That's never going to come off of there. Never. Peace out.